One thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is mentors and just people in the business who will help you. Now, when you're doing your business plan and you have to research your competitors, a lot of people don't like this part, but to me, this part is fun and it's easy and it can actually be very beneficial to you. So, you guys know my motto. I think the best tool that any entrepreneur can have in their back pocket is one that doesn't cost you a thing but your time. I think you should out research everybody in your particular industry. Like, I think you should just know everything there is to know within your industry. Like, just get in there. Like they say, get in there and get your hands dirty. Like, get in there and find out everything you need to know. And to me, it's fun. I know how I learn best, so I can find ways to make it fun. When I was doing a lot of research early on, looking at interviews and people's websites and reading blogs and just looking through everything that I could find online in regards to other businesses that were in my industry, specifically with YouTube, because it's just so much information that you can gather, because a lot of this information is information that the people, they're putting out themselves, the business owners, the entrepreneurs, they're talking about their journey. And then you will hear people who may have a similar journey to yourself. And this is very beneficial to use in your business plan, because when you're able to say, okay, look at this idea and look at this concept, this person did it. And yes, they did it a little differently because of A, B, and C, but it's basically the same layout. A perfect example, using our business in particular, we're bringing a local favorite that's very familiar to a particular area to a whole nother area. So we see this all over, where people will take a West Coast item or a New York item and they'll flip it. They'll bring it down south, or they'll bring it on the other coast, and they'll be very, very successful because the people in that area, maybe they have never had it before, and so they're pleasantly surprised. Or maybe they have lived in those places before, or maybe they grew up in those places, or they have traveled there before, and so it reminds them of home. So it's a double-edged sword when people are doing a concession business and they take a staple from one place in the country or from one place in the world, and they kind of bring it somewhere else and introduce it to a new audience. That is something that works very, very, very well. When you think about it in those terms, start thinking about who may be able to give you some good advice. So a perfect example, I'm a Black woman. If I find a Black woman who is in the Italian ice business, who has started her business from the ground up, and maybe she is in an area that's not New York, New Jersey, or Philadelphia, which means she took this item and brought it somewhere else. That is very particular. If I reach out to her via email, because keep in mind, being in business, you want to reach out to people in a way that shows you understand business. It's kind of like if you've ever been a server or a bartender and you're looking for a new server or bartending gig, you try not to go at like 4:00. You try not to go during like peak times, because it's like, dude, you clearly know nothing about the industry if you're here at this time. But like, it shows that you are a true entrepreneur if you respect someone else's time. And calling is not the best way to do it. The best way is to get their information, send them a thoughtful email. So if I were to send a business owner, like the example that I gave you, and that was like very particular, but maybe it's just a Black couple in the Italian ice business, or just very, very specific to someone who can identify with what I may be dealing with getting into this industry, right? I could reach out to them, and this could work for a lot of different things. I'm just using this particular example because I'm talking about me. You might just say, hey, I want to find a woman who is an entrepreneur in the business. You might say, hey, I just want to find a young male in the business. You might really be inspired by somebody like Jeremiah. You know, he's a young guy. He's in the industry. He's killing it, doing well for himself and his family. So like you might say, I want to get a classic, Italian family to take me in under their wing. So like whatever works for you, just do it. That's the main thing. Okay. Like Nike, just do it. Using that example that I gave you, if I were to send a thoughtful email, and remember, a part of sending a thoughtful email is not you just asking for something. It's not you just wanting something. It's you giving a little of yourself. Always try to give a little of yourself instead of just always asking. Try to give a little first and then try to save the ask for the end. Sending a thoughtful email. Hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. My partner and I are getting into the Italian ice business. We are located in so-and-so, so-and-so. We have been learning about the business for the last year. We have invested in some equipment. We've invested in a push cart. We are organizing our business plan and just getting everything organized for the upcoming season, which for us will basically start the summer of 2020. In preparation for that, we have been researching different companies who got started with a push cart, or different companies, different people who got started with a push cart. Different people who got started with the push cart, people who brought the Italian ice idea into their community or into their area where it didn't exist before. So people who kind of took the idea from Philadelphia or from here or from there. I see that like you lived in Philadelphia before you moved and decided to bring it to your area. We're the same way. I lived in Philadelphia for 6 years. When I moved back home, I couldn't believe that I couldn't drive 5-10 miles from my house and just nowhere. I just couldn't find Italian ice. And that really motivated me to want to get into the business. I was wondering if I could just have an hour of your time to talk to you. I have a few questions because it's very hard to kind of get certain answers in this business. And I understand that people guard their secrets very, very closely. But if I could have just an hour or so of your time on any day of your choosing, I'm available X, Y, and Z, but you let me know when you're available. If I could ask you a few questions, it would really, really help us in our journey, and I would really, really appreciate it. And also make sure that you show them a little bit that you have also researched so you know who you're talking to. Hey, I saw you and your husband did this, and you guys have a great product. Your website looks great. Something to where you are showing that you have shown some interest in their stuff as well. And don't forget to let them know where you're from, because someone in a completely different state from you, I'm telling you, they're going to be so much more like open to helping you and to talking with you, because you're not their direct competition. There's competition, and then there's direct competition. If you call somebody down the street from you, they are not going to stay on the phone with you for an hour. I mean, maybe they're really nice like that, but chances are if you do it too local, they may help you, but they probably are going to be like reluctant to get into the specifics. But if you go outside of your county, you go outside of your state, if you go outside of your area a little bit so that people don't feel threatened, I'm telling you, Send out 4 emails like that. 4 or 5, I like round numbers, but send out a handful of emails like that. Not a lot, because you want them to be thoughtful. So it shouldn't be 20, 30 emails. It should maybe be like 4 or 5, because you want it to be thoughtful. Somebody is going to get back to you. If anything, maybe 3 or 4 people might get back to you. But that's the thing about being an entrepreneur. When you relate to people who can relate to where they were at one point, they're very open to helping you. And if you have your questions already written out, you're being respectful of their time, that person will want to get on the phone and talk to you. Or they might say, hey, I'm a little bit busy. Send me your questions. I'll send back the, you just never know. Or maybe they'll ignore you. I mean, look, if 5 different people ignore you, you still got to keep going. Maybe they weren't the right target. Maybe it wasn't the right fit. But I haven't seen that happen. And since I've been giving this advice, I haven't seen that happen. Most people, particularly in this business, they're open. I mean, people who open up ice cream shops and Italian, they're good people. Most of the time, it's just everyday people. It's a lot of just, hey, I wanted to get away from my job. I wanted to build a life for my family. I wanted something to pass down to my kids, or me and my wife just wanted something where we could see each other more. These are just regular people, and they're regular people who can relate to you just being a regular person saying, I don't know all the answers. Could you give me a little help? They'll respect it and they'll help you. And if they don't, hit me up. Hit me up. Email me, and I will try and answer any of your questions to the best of my ability. But I think this strategy works a little bit better, because it's nothing like having a mentor or having someone in the business who sees your promise, somebody who you can ask very specific questions, and somebody who you can communicate with and they can watch you grow. People love being a part of somebody else's story too. I mean, everybody loves a success story. Everybody loves a Cinderella story. Everybody loves rags to riches. So you being driven and you being dedicated, you will get the answers that you seek. Seek and you shall find. I'm going to get out of here, guys.